season as Chad Naylon jumps in alongside me here, mate. Just another day in the office for you and I. We've done a few of these gigs together over the years.
Yeah, this should be fun. I think we're going to enjoy this. It's just good to see cars gritting up and going for a few laps in anger, banging door handles. Massive grid that they've managed to assemble for this. Improved production car, Commodore Cup, HQ. Throw them all in together like a big cauldron.
If you're wondering why this guy's up here, I actually had to pull him away from this paddock on Thursday. He was drooling at some of these cars here. A car nerd you've never seen nothing like here. Chad Naylon loves this stuff around this 2.89 kilometre circuit. A whole fleet of West Aussie cars up here this weekend. We can say that because, one, you're from there, and two, I live there these days, that have made the big trek up here to get away from the 25 millimetres of rain that's falling there today. Good place to be, isn't it?
Sounds like an everyday January day up here, I suppose.
Exactly right. That's like a sun shower for them up here. Usually 200 or 300 millimetres a day is good that time of the year.
We used to get a whole bunch of HQs coming up from Perth to do this round, back in the late 90s especially.
Still a good field here for this one. They're towards the back of the field, obviously with the slower pace that they have, but gee, they're tough old cars. They're as old as our dads, aren't they, getting around this racetrack?
I wonder if any of those used to get around the Thunderdome at all.
Some of them would have.
We need HQ sleuth.
Spud Wood did back in the days. Yeah, he was done a couple of races back in the earlier days for sure. I'm sure you hate me bringing that up also.
We'll get the sleuth onto that later.
We will. So Adam Ubergang starts on pole position for this one. Craig Kroonstuyver moved up to second on the very last lap earlier today. He starts out at 2. Robert Braun, the Victorian, moves up to 3 in this one. Then Dan Ridley starts out at 4. Timmy Playford starts out at position 5. Then Barry Smith, the current Northern Australian Motorsport Club president, will start out of position 6, and it's Wilson, the West Aussie, Jewel, also from Perth, then Crystal, and Stephen Ling, the first of the Commodore Cup cars, will start out of 10. He's the son of David Ling that's in the Utes this weekend, driving Chucky Baxter's old piece of machinery. Outside then, Frank Panizza, the West Aussie. Then Terry Mason will start out of 12. David Ling out of 13. Then it's Chris Langworthy. Carl Wienans from the Territory, and Alan Langworthy starts out of 16. Then it's John Stone out of 17 in car 24. Ian Roots out of 18. Simon Bullash will line up alongside Carla Kopenko in the 20th spot. As the field is set, have a look how far down this grid goes, Chad, as far as the eye can see, isn't it?
I suppose it's the closest thing you'd ever get to peak hour traffic conditions in Darwin, anyway.
Pretty much, yeah. The main highway out of town there, Tiger Brennan Drive. Won't see this sort of traffic during the course of this weekend. There's a shot looking down the straight here on your PRG super screens as we're almost set now. We'll wait for the green flag to be waved at the back of this field here. Further back, we got the HQs, including Gavin Thompson, who, again, is doing good things in the 73 machine. Green flag is about to be waved at the back, and it should be 5 seconds being held up on the start line. Can Ubergang do this once again? Or will we see Kroonstuyver lay the smackdown? Red lights on. Race 2 of the Shannon's Insurance Improved Production Commodore Cup, and HQs is underway.
Not a bad jump for Ubergang in the all Mazda front row, but as he grabs second and third gear, he might just be able to get that advantage back on the approach down to turn 1. Such a long run. Thankfully, all cars managed to get off the grid. Ubergang will have that sit up the inside. Inside the RX-7, he'll lead down into turn 1.
He was lucky because he had bags of wheel spin off the line there too, and that's why Kroonstuyver got the advantage as they went down to turn 1. They come out of the double apex turn 2. Already Braun, the Victorian, sliding back here. He's battling it out now with, looks like, who's that, Caligari perhaps? No, it won't be Caligari. He's further back in the field. But Kroonstuyver has gone. He's gone off the track down at turn 5. He locked the rears and is going to drop down to at least 7th place. He's out there horticulturing up. He's tearing the grass apart down on the infield here.
The RX-7 was never really made to go off-road. It was never a great rally car. And unfortunately, he's lost a host of positions. He'll drop back nearly 10 spots. He was fighting for the lead with Adam Ubergang. Locked the rears on the approach to turn 5. And then he was bush bashing from that part onward. That's disappointing. Loses a lot of spots. And did he come out behind Panizza? I think he might have.
I think he did, yeah. This now, though, spices up the race from the mid-pack. Unfortunately, Ubergang won't have too much of a challenge at the moment. Braun moves back up into second, but is a fair way behind as they come through to reel off lap number 1 of the Shannon's Insurance Improved Production Commodore Cup, and HQ's here, their second race of the weekend.
Actually, it was Wayne Crystal that he came out behind on the front straight, so that goes to show you just how many spots he did lose as they come flying back down in front of the commentary box window. First lap complete. Ubergang your leader, 125.8 the standing lap time the first time through, and he's a comfortable leader, already 2.3 seconds up with his greatest foe for the weekend, off a long way back down the field. He went all the way back down to 9th with that one error. You make one mistake and cost you 7-8 spots in a field this competitive.
Here's the battle for the Commodore Cup honours here. John Caligari is also behind this. He was put towards the back of the field. He was running in third position most of the race earlier today and dropped back to 16th, but obviously an issue post-race has put him to the rear field. Ubergang, don't tell me he's not trying.
He's pushing, isn't he, with the Aussie racing car experience that he has. He's won a couple of races in the Aussie racing cars, always towards the front of the grid. That's why he's got Game Over on the front, which is one of the series sponsors for the Aussie racing cars. It's actually the Tony Quinn owned. Well, it's just about everything. I was going to say it's electric go-karts, it's climbing walls. It's, a massive fun entertainment centre on the Gold Coast. And he is a Queenslander, Adam Ubergang, as he goes fastest to the first and second sectors.
This will be the replay of Kroonstuyver. Got up on the white line, instantly did, and that's fatal for anything, particularly in the wet, but particularly up here. When you get off line up here, you know about it.
Cold tyres, old story, that one. It's so easy to do on cold tyres. You just hook a little bit of dirt over that white paint. There's no grip there at the best of times. Good battle on down the front straight for third right now. It's Ridley and Wilson.
We know that man, don't we? JP Pallets, who supported many of the race teams down in Perth over the years. He pulls out the slipstream to make the pass down the straight on Ridley, and he's got the job done by the look of it. He might try Braun here.
Second. How on earth are you managing to get that? I was going to say, there's no way he should be that good under brakes.
Yeah, any wide who's going to end up in Palmerston as they go out of turn 2, down towards the 3-4 flip flood. He's got a tyre.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It's broken the suspension. It's not just the tyre. And he
He's
might get
got
the
wall.
concrete. Oh, he's going to glance that new concrete wall down there. A little bit of damage, or even more so now to the left front. It was rubbing as he went down the front straight. It gave up on him halfway through the corner. And as a result, he's had to pull up over just outside of turn 5. Jason Wilson parks it, and he's going to do a good job here to not bring out a safety car if he can get the car moving down towards turn 5. Awkward part of the racetrack, local yellow flags in that area, so no passing on the approach to turn 5 for the rest of the cars that are going down to that part of the sector right now.
Yeah, he limps it off the track. It should be safe down there, but it must have happened earlier on in that lap for it to let go where it did. As look at Kroonstuyver now. He's fighting his way back through the field here. He's on the back of Smith in the VN Commodore. James Pocock, a regular racer up here, has had a lot to do with this car in the recent past. It went down and ran at the Wanneroo 300 last year. Finished 16th out of 32 with some tough cars in that field. Now he's pulling out to have an attack. Should be able to do this quite comfortably down this 1.1k straight.
All you Rotary fans, get some noise. Rotary versus V8 fight. Not surprisingly. No, the V8 should beat a Rotor in a straight line. You'd like to think so anyway. But watch that RX-7 under brakes. Look at that. Just pulls out and makes up that massive advantage under brakes and takes that position away. So he's on a bit of a charge to get back. He's now up to 6th. He was as lowly as 9th at one point. As we check out a replay here.
Something broke on the way in. So the wheel's broken. He didn't hit nothing because there's nothing down there to hit. The tyre barrier is a lot further in. No, there's no curb down there.
Right.
Not till you get to the middle of the corner. But here's where the big moment happened. Gee, he was very lucky not to go head first. He just managed to pull on sideways into the wall.
That bird was lucky to get out the way as well. You really got to say, he would have known that the problem was there. It's easier said than done, but maybe getting on the brakes a little bit earlier than would have been the go. And tell you what, Kroonstuyver is going to pick up another spot here. They're falling off the road in front of him at the moment.
I know it's only race 2. They pay the money tomorrow. That's the 40 machine going through the right-hander there of Dan Ridley, who was further up the order. He's going to drop a ton of paces now as Jewel gets into this one. I love this Tirana. Mark Jewel, the white and black, the SS hatchback variety going through the back section of this circuit.
Yeah, Ridley's got problems. He's driving off the racing line. Didn't want to cause much of a fight there for the Tirana to come past. So I wonder if that's what caused the original off. Further back through the field, some nice Commodores out there. You don't see too many late model Commodores in racing trim like this anywhere, really. So it's cool to see them here.
It's very production car spec, isn't it? You'd see racing in the Shannon Series. As they cross the line, still Ubergang out in front. He's 5 seconds down the road from Rob Braun, the Victorian. Then it's Playford, Kroonstuyver, Smith, then Jewel. Ridley's dropped back down the field. Then Mason, Crystal, and Frank Panizza are in 10th.
Oh, I think a window, maybe a quarter window just came out one of those Commodores going down the straight line. I think it might have actually been Frank Panizza's car. I think maybe left rear window or...
Quite possibly.
Not too sure. One of those windows has popped out going down the front straight. Shows the kind of pressure that you build up inside these cars. If you've ever driven down the freeway with one of the windows down and that thud that you get going through the car.
It's right through your head, doesn't it?
Yeah, sometimes. That's exactly what's happened for Panizza. He's lost one of those windows out of there.
Could have been the passenger side, maybe. Hard to tell.
He's getting crawled all over right now by his fellow West Aussie.
At least he'll be cool for a lap, as cool as he gets. Oh, he's had to understeer through the corner.
The HQs are going at it, by the way, down the front straight as well, which is good to see. Thompson and Ling were going crisscrossing down the front straight like Moffat and
Van Gisbergen
yesterday. So they're going to go late under brakes and see who's got the best middle pedal on the approach to turn 1. Watch Lynn go all the way around the outside. That's the long way to do it.
Some great battles right through this field. This is for HQ Honors as they go through, as we work lap number 5. So an 8-lap race, and doesn't it fly on by? Adam Ubergang, we've got a waved yellow down at turn 5, so no passing. These two are going to have to sort this out before they get there.
Uh-oh. There's going to be tears over this because there's passing going on. Hard to sort it out when you're already side by side, and I'd expect that you'll probably see Williams fall in behind him here and yield the spot.
They're still arguing.
Who's that behind them? Is that Budge now behind them as well? So all 4 of these HQs going for it.
Yeah, that'll be Banowski. Scab Banowski, as he's known as up in this part of the world. And Kroonstuyver is driving the wheels off this RX-7.
Well, they're picking through the traffic right now. Look at the big turbo smoke at the back of car number 20. Cool little RX-7, this one. Not quite the Alan Moffat-style paint job that was made famous. Was that 83?
Around that mark, 83, 84. Yep. The Stuyvesant colours, if you will.
Yeah.
Through turn 7 they go. So they're working lap traffic now. And this one, the closing stages of race 2 of the Shannon's Improved Production Commodore Cup and HQs.
Sideways as he got onto the front straight going through traffic. He wanted to get to the inside of the HQs. He lit up the rear tyres and did a massive power slide going on to turn 14, out of turn 14 onto the straight. That was pretty good to see. As we got the HQs, they still want to argue over this. This is good racing.
So they're having their own battles at the same time, having to watch their mirrors for the approaching traffic, which is going about 15 seconds a lap quicker. Braun is trying to go down the inside in the BMW here. And will he get the 72 before the turn? A survey says no.
Ba-bow. This will all serve quite well, actually, for a Kroonstuyver who's going to actually make up a little bit of time, especially through this sector of the track. It's fast through here, nearly 170, 180 k's an hour on the outside. It might not look like a really hard corner, but to be able to pick through the traffic, which is how what we're seeing right now with these 2 Mazdas. Tim Playford doing a good job to pick through a couple of these HQs, but keep an eye out for Kroonstuyver here because he's trying to make up that last little bit of distance towards the Mazda in front of him. Tell you what, a lot of Mazdas towards the front of this one. It's Mazda, then you go back to BMW, then another 2 Mazdas so far.
Good to see, isn't it? Gee, it's wiped out one of the passing points now, that waved yellow. That'll be there for the remainder of this race, you would think. Kroonstuyver on your PRG super screen, working turn 7 and on the back of Redley now.
Someone else joined the queue down there by chance.
Quite possibly, yeah, it looks like it.
So I think we might have a second car stuck down in turn 5, yeah, because the original reason for the yellow flags pulled off behind the big screens.
He's jumped into the monster platform. Man, Kroonstuyver.
Massive slide out of turn 14. Here we go, a bit of a Mazda drag race down the front straight.
Put this guy in a sprint car, please.
That'd be excellent. Playford moves over to the middle of the racetrack.
They sound cool going past here, don't they?
The 2 little rotors.
I think he'll defend down here. Playford, I'm talking about in the 78. Kroonstuyver pulls out. He's going to have to go the long way around. It squirms its way into turn 1. Is he going to pull this up, Chad?
Gee, not a bad effort. He's going to try the over-under up the inside. That was the inside curb there at the middle of the corner where I think we might have hurt the suspension a little bit earlier on in the day. Was it Wayne Crystal who had that drama? Or
Jason Wilson it was.
Jason Wilson it was, that's right.
Gee, if it was, must be right on the threshold. Wow.
I think it was already broken from somewhere else in the lap.
Finished it off.
Finished it because it was smoking as he came down the front straight in that battle. Check out the amount of camber that's running on that.
It's awesome.
RX-7. Seriously cool on both front tyres. Very aggressive setup. Ubergang.
He's on
the back end stepping out.
Final lap 2 for this man. He's going to make this 2 from 2, one would think. Around the back section, turn 10, then the run through the slalom. He touches I love this guy driving. The man out of Toowoomba is coming to the final set of turns here. The Ubergang Transport, the truckie, comes out of the final turn, doing great things this season in Aussie racing cars and comes to collect another checkered flag and is going to remain absolutely unbeaten in the past 2 seasons here at Hidden Valley. Collects the checkered flag. Well done to Adam Ubergang. It's going to be a massive win here. Here's the battle for 2nd and 3rd.
This is not too bad. Playford is going to hold on to it. Looks like the RX-7 backed off on the approach to the checkered flag. He does. He's not even on the throttle as he goes past the commentary box window, so Kroonstuyver will be disappointed. Should have been in there battling for the lead with Ubergang, but made that mistake on the first lap, and someone else has turned it around now. A couple going around. We've got oil down in turn 5 for sure, as a few guys have looped it around down there.
It's a Commodore Cup convention down there.
A little bit at the moment.
Here's the battle for Commodore Cup honours as we go through to the final turn. Look at it. It's a clearance sale down there.
Everywhere. So wonder if we're getting any oil flags on the approach.
Well, wonder, is that Caligari further up the screen that might have had an issue and pulled the car to the right-hand side?
Oh, it's still going on down at turn 6.
Has to be something on the track then. Langworthy has gone around in the 98 machine now. So everywhere that part of the track.
He spun at turn 5, got back on it, got down to turn 6, spun again.
It's Pedro Diniz stuff, isn't it, back in the days?
He's doing some circle work now. He's going to enjoy the last few laps home. So hard to see if there's anything down on that racing surface. There's certainly a lot of licorice straps going in all kinds of directions.
But
Adam Ubergang, your winner, though. The man from Toowoomba. He's handy in an Aussie racing car. He's also pretty handy in this very cool little Mazda. And he is your race winner for the second race for the Bits and Mixer category, we'll call it this weekend.
Yeah, it's cool. Big shout out to Shannon's Insurance for their help. Give him a round of applause, Darwin, as he comes past on the backside of the circuit here. Adam Ubergang doing a great job once again in the Ubergang Transport sponsored car. 2 wins from 2 starts. He got pole position yesterday by 1.2 seconds and looks like he's going to be the man to chase tomorrow in the next race of the Improved Production Commodore Cup and HQs, as the remainder of the field is taking the checkered flag in this one. They're back out again tomorrow morning. They get to settle in for the afternoon now and watch the V8 Supercars, which you'll be joining me for later on this afternoon. 2 big races, 35 laps each for Event 6 of the V8 Supercars Championship. The 17th hosting of the Sky City Triple Crown here in Darwin. It's a great weekend. Thank you so much for coming along as we head to a break.